Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Blue Stinger. In the last part we reached the Hello Market, and now it's time for us to spend almost the entire part in this place, because this area is surprisingly lengthy for as cramped as it is. Now we want to investigate this.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday! Let's join in the Happy Market Christmas Stamp Rally now! Walk all over the store! Pin Pin Tina! Pin Pin Sparky! Taco Pin Sneak! Toto Pin Bat! Collect all 4 stamps! When you collect all 4 stamps, you can purchase great items with a special discount on the 2nd floor! Yay!
Meet one of our longer term goals, and here the stamp rally. We need to find all 4 in order to get a plot important item later on. Well, technically it's part of a side quest because you can do something else to get it, but I'm doing that method. Also, I should note, with those things, the subtitles are somewhat estimations because I can't quite make out what they're saying. Whoops.
Merry Christmas, and let's challenge the stamp. Happy holidays. My name is Pet Sparky. Thanks for killing me.
I should also probably mention, the reason the music in this area is so Christmassy, note that Dachshund is sold out, by the way. And there's all this, like, happy holiday stuff around Hello Market. The current in-game date is December 24th, so it's about to be Christmas in-game. For right now, we can only really head this way. If you try to go to the other doors in that area, they're either locked or you need to clear the stamp rally to access them. The place we want to go is the back portion of the store, as that's where some key items await us. And then there's the staff room, which is where the side quest I mentioned technically comes into play.
Hey, what's wrong?
I get this fit once in a while.
Hey, Devlin, where's the key to the freezer warehouse?
Can't you see? He's sick.
Vice Manager, Roland, got a key.
Where's your medicine?
Dachshund,
Dachshund. Is that the name of your pills?
at the pharmacy stand.
You have 42 minutes to get Devlin his medication. If you don't, he dies, but it doesn't matter too much. You can still get any plot important items from the room. If he dies, you just can't get a certain other item. Now, the work schedule there is how you're supposed to figure out where the manager he mentioned is. He's on the 2nd floor, which is also where we're going to have to buy his Dachshund medication, because as you may have noticed, it was sold out back at the pharmacy stand. Our big goal is to just figure our way over to there. But here's the thing. You can do all this without the 42-minute time limit. I believe if you just progress through the areas like we're going to without entering that door until you absolutely need to, that timer will start the moment you go in there, yes, but you'll probably already have the item by then. Because the gun shop key we got in there, we're not required to go in there at all. That's just a place where we can buy some extraneous weapons. So you can completely sequence break this time limit by going around it. With that said, 42 minutes is more than enough time, I feel, because the Hello Market is bigger than you'd expect, but because of its very claustrophobic nature, it's very easy to figure out what's a dead end and what you might need what item to get through. The only minor sequence break I'm doing otherwise is, I didn't show it off, but in the room before the one I'm currently in, there was a shutter door to the left that had the numbers 0030 on it. You're going to need to know some shutter door numbers for a key code coming up, essentially. And because I played the game before, I know what I'm doing. This is the napalm gun, by the way. It's super good for taking out the tentacles. Less so for taking out the humanoids. I always recommend using physical means if you can on the humanoids. Maybe the handgun and shotgun if you have ammo for it, because honestly, they're the best things to use those on. Though I should note, technically speaking, I know this is the case for boss fights. I forget if it is for normal enemies. By and large, every enemy type has a weakness to a specific weapon, or at least is more easily vulnerable to it. It's just that for normal enemies, it's not really worth keeping in mind because ammo is so prevalent in the game, either because of money that drops from enemies or the outright ammo pickups in the game. if I were to compare the amount of ammo pickups in this game to a Resident Evil game, I would say maybe Resident Evil 2 Original. More than enough to help you get through the game as long as you're also using your melee attack sparingly. But still enough to the point where you're probably gonna want to save or make or buy some along the way. I guess in that way, technically Resident Evil 4 might be a good comparison as well. Either way, this game, despite trying to be a survival horror game, has more than enough resources you can buy that it becomes more so survival action. This game isn't scary. If anything, the soundtrack tries to be horror at times, keyword, but it fails. Also, very minor thing, I don't know why the game does this. For a large portion of the game, Nephilim is just straight up hovering around you. And she's just there to either be a light source, I guess, or to be like, hey, I'm watching you. That camera bank card is surprisingly important, by the way. It's not a key item, it's not needed to beat the game, but if you want to get some easy money, it's pretty important. Either way, our goal in this room is that keypad up there, because as I mentioned, we got some shutter door numbers earlier, technically. And we want to use them in this. With that said, we need to push the blocks, and pushing blocks in this game, well, it makes Ocarina of Time doing it look fast. Though I do find it interesting that the first push is always a little bit slower than the latter ones. I don't know why, because in my experience, usually I get more tired out the more I push something. At least they never put a pushing section like this near what this game counts as bottomless pits.
The emergency shutter is now activated. Please enter the number of a shutter you would like to deactivate.
As mentioned before, the one we're looking for here is 0030.
Shutter number 0030 is now deactivated.
And I should note, as I mentioned before, you're technically supposed to explore the shop a little more, find the shutters, and then come back here to do this. But I know what I'm looking for, so I'm going to do this now. Because that timer, while there's more than enough time, I'd rather get through it as quickly as possible without having to cut out much.
Shutter number 0050 is now deactivated.
And I should note, timers in this game count down at any point you're not in a loading screen or pause menu. So anytime you're in a cutscene, it's continuously counting down, picking up an item, it's always counting down. Now, we want to first head over here into this toy store. This is what was behind shutter number 0030. And this place is a little bit of a maze that has some enemies in it, namely a tentacle near the stamp rally we're looking for. And two of the little flying bat enemies, if you go the wrong way, I just recommend coming this way for the stamp and then backtracking the way you came through. Also, that's the karate shirt. It's one of Dogs' short-range weapons. It's funny looking, but it's not very effective as a weapon. Honestly, Dogs, any of his close-range stuff, barring maybe one thing you can buy later in this very store, is not very worth your attention.
Yeah, I'm Peppy and Tina. Thanks for meeting me. Mwah.
There's just something about this game's atmosphere when it does shit like that makes me laugh at it and makes me wonder if in any regard this game's plot was meant to be as stupid as it is, because the other Dreamcast game that some of this team worked on, Climax Graphics and all that, Illbleed, is very much a B horror movie send-up. So I can't help but wonder if this game is just a mechanical failure but was meant to be goofy, so to speak. Mind you, from the lip syncing, I can definitely tell the dialogue was probably a little more seriously taken in Japanese. Despite this game having one of the most self-aware and fun commercials out of Japan on the Dreamcast, I'll see if I can remember to link it in the description. This game definitely has some hero behind it. Hell, I think in the American version, the only reference to it might be in a CD store in this very area and in the credits. But this game had a full-out theme song in Japan by the name of Sting Me. I'll definitely see if I can remember to link that in the comments as well. And that song's catchy as hell. It's also incredibly unfitting to a horror game. So there's definitely some mix of meant to be kind of silly, but also still slightly be taken seriously in this game. Every time I hear that part of the music right there, I think of Game Informer Super Replay, because this was the theme they used, I believe, as an intro for that for a while before they switched over to Sting Me. Now, something I should note when it comes to the humanoid enemies, particularly thanks to these two rooms, actually, this one and the previous one, I've noticed over my playthroughs that there's a couple of different AI patterns they tend to follow, because sometimes they'll always just start gunning it for you the moment you enter a room. Sometimes they wander around a bit more. Sometimes I think they even spawn in slightly different locations. And the reason I say that is one of my favorite places to grind for money is the enemy I just killed, this one right here, and the big guy in the previous room, because there's a couple of different variants of the humanoid enemies. There's the smaller ones, which are pretty normal. There's big guys that do a little more damage and are a little bit faster, and later on we're going to see a few more variants, namely 3 others, technically. And the bigger they are, the more money they drop. But I've also noticed as I played that the later in the game an enemy is, the more money they're likely to drop anyway. So you're gonna want to grind for super expensive stuff later on.
Oh, you got Polo Pen back. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
So who thought about putting a part of the stamp rally, probably aimed at kids, in the adult video section of the Hello Market? I just want to talk. You're an idiot. Admittedly, the thing with the Hello Market is, yeah, it's claustrophobic and it can be admittedly a little easy to find yourself getting turned around in here. But because the areas are so thin, there's only so many directions you can go at a time, so finding your way to the stamp rally and the key items you need is only a matter of time, compared to certain other areas in the game where things look so samey, admittedly, that it's a lot harder to find your way around, I feel. Because a lot of this game's areas, like in Resident Evil, are just thin hallways, but in some of the areas' cases, it feels better and worse at the same time, because there's either worse enemies around, or there's just more hallways. Yeah, that's usually what leads to the worse. Also, you may have noticed it there, but just because you take off the head of one of the humanoids with one of your attacks doesn't mean they're dead. In a way, these enemies not only resemble the normal necromorphs from Dead Space, they work a little bit like them in that taking a limb off means nothing. They're only dead when they die. And unlike Resident Evil, there's no pool of blood to tell you exactly when that happens. You just kind of have to wait for the money to pop out, and they stay down for longer than 3 seconds. Either way, we got the adult video card in what I think is meant to be the music store, and that allows us to come over here to the other adult video area. Or is this just the straight-up rental place? I don't remember.
What are you doing? Did you go to Rad's place?
I'm looking for Taco Pen.
I guess she doesn't understand jokes.
I love these kind of chicks.
Elliot, you're not cool. Shut the hell up. Ugh, I wish Dogs was the only playable character in this game because Elliot is a piece of trash.
Congratulations! I'm Taco Pen Sting. Thanks for getting me.
And with that, the stamp rally is completed. What does this allow us to do? Go to the second floor, which is where we need to go to for plot anyway. It's just a matter of whether or not you get there within the 42-minute time limit that you get some extra little bonuses. So to enter that, just head left here.
Congratulations! You have completed the stamp rally! Please take the elevator to the second floor. Let's join the special discount!
There is technically another set of voice lines here if I investigated this before starting the rally, but oh well. Also, be careful in this room because it's not showing up on screen right now, but there's a real big guy like the one Dog shot up with his bow gun when we first met him. And honestly, at this point, you do not have the weapons to take care of one of those super well. But welcome to the special discount floor. You can find some of the best items in the game here, including a dachshund that we need to give to that guy. In this next thing, there's something very interesting. We have meal plates, and the steak plate is a very useful item in particular. It costs 2,400 each, but not only is that a full heal, it raises your max HP whenever you use it. Up to a certain point, of course. There is a dedicated max. Over here, we got some more weapons, including the best one of Dogs' short-range weapons in my eyes, the club, which I never buy. And here we got better healing items. The hamburger especially is super useful, even though I'm buying a lot more of long hassies for right now because they're more worth my money. Hamburgers are 100% heals, I should note. And in here we got some more weapons, including two of the best ones in the game for Elliot in my eyes. Most weapons in the game, if you can buy them, you can also find them somewhere else, but things like the iron fists we just saw, the club and another vending machine, and some in the super special room in this area, you need to buy because they're not found on the map anywhere else.
You saved my life. You guys are rescuers? How many are saved? Is Devlin alive?
Chill, one question at a time.
Okay.
First of all, we are not rescuers. I mean, I am. I'm as lost as you are, and I have no idea how many survived.
Do you have the card key to the freezer warehouse?
Who are you?
He's Dogs Bauer, captain of the SS Deanna. We're...
No time for explanation. If you want to live, give me the card key.
It's in a safe on my desk. This is a key to the safe.
Wait here. I'll be back right away.
So yeah, the reason we need to come up here is for that key. Even if Devlin dies, you can still get that key. Only customers with more than 3,000 Kimmer dollars may enter. Please stand by as the cash sensor checks your cash. Check failed. Please come again. The best weapons and ammo in the game can all be bought in that room. And we're going to be checking that out next part because I'm going to be grinding for some money in between parts using that actual area I was talking about earlier. I'll talk more about the amount and how long it takes, either later this part, early next. There's a lot that goes into that. Either way, I'm going to jump cut us back to Devlin because, yeah, that's not too much to cut out, but still, every second counts.
Here, I got your dachshund.
Thanks. You saved my life. Here, use this.
Don't be like me in this main footage. Investigate that safe on the desk next to Devlin to get the freezer key from Roland's key that we got a few moments ago that we're going to need at the end of this part to enter the freezer. I cut back in a few moments to get that anyway, but I figure I should tell you now. That safe doesn't exactly stand out from the desk it is on. Whoops. Maybe if there was some better direction with the level design, like some papers leading towards the safe or the safe glowing to tell you can investigate it, I wouldn't have missed that. Oh well. Because admittedly, graphically, this game is pretty nice for relatively early Dreamcast. I honestly think in terms of actual character model detail and background detail, it's better than Sonic Adventure, but the animations are just a lot worse, because Sonic animates so much better than Elliot could ever hope to. But it's also a factor of this game just has probably worse direction in general in that regard. Either way, while I look up if this was a launch title for the Dreamcast, this fence over here is what the key Devlin gave us opens up. And not only is there just a metric shitload of napalm ammo in here, 3 boxes is a pretty good amount to find in one place. We can also find Elliot's shotgun and some shells in it, with it. The shotgun in this game isn't as useful as, say, a shotgun in Resident Evil. It's not a boss fight destroyer. It can be used on certain boss fights, but it's more or less a secondary handgun. It fires 3 shells in a burst round, and I believe damage depends on not only how centered on the target you are, but also how close you are to it, like a shotgun would be. It's got uses, but save it for normal enemies. Don't use it too much on boss fights unless you have nothing else. Okay, let's see. Blue Stinger released March 25th, 1999 in Japan, September 9th, 99 in the US, which I believe was the US release date. Yeah, September 9th, 99 was the release date for the Dreamcast in the US, so this was an American launch game. The Dreamcast launched November of 98, so it was it was about half a year in Japan. Either way, a moment ago, or no, a little bit ago in the part, we got the gun shop key that allows us to enter this door. And this is where I should note that even though this is like a full playthrough, I'm not buying every single weapon in the game. Despite some of the best weapons in the game being purchasable here, I focus more on the weapons I can buy in this special room on the second floor. Special mentions from memory go to, I believe, they're the acid and laser gun that you can purchase here. They got some pretty good damage. It's just that, barring maybe one instance, ammo is only purchasable for them. You can't really find ammo for them very much. So hey, if you want to grind out the money to grab these, go right ahead. I'm not doing it. And even then, there are ways to do that either way, as this game, as we'll find out later on, does have a New Game Plus mode. So you can just come back here in the second run and probably have enough money to buy a lot of these things on the second run. Assuming you don't completely buy out all your resources at the end of the game. In which case, you're just going to start with every weapon and just not much money. Either way, since we got the freezer key, quote-unquote, now our business here in Hello Market is done, outside of me doing some grinding here in between parts. So after I go in there to save, let's head on towards our next destination. Which we've already seen on screen even. You might remember last part, while we were walking around the perimeter of Hello Market, there was a giant door labeled freezer right next to the security wall that blocks off Rat's bar. That is our destination in all this. Also, seeing the money jump out in this area reminds me, a very minor annoyance in this game is whenever you're particularly in Lab Town and there's areas around you that have water blocked off by fence, the money that enemies drop can bounce into that, and if it does that, it's just completely unreachable, even though Elliot can swim. They should have put up an invisible wall around the fence to make sure that doesn't happen, but oh well. And here's the freezer that I forgot to grab the key to. So at this point, I'm going to jump cut back, and yeah, let's go grab that. I completely missed the safe. It does just really blend in with that desk, though, doesn't it? Yeah, there's the freezer key. Yeah, that's just a moment of me being an idiot and not playing this game, admittedly, as much as I have, say, most Resident Evils. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we're going into the deep freeze, people. See you guys then.